Welcome to Karen's Conversations number 30. We're getting old. Today I have the pleasure to be talking with...
No, actually, today I have the pleasure of interviewing Karen from Karen's Conversations. For those who don't know me, I'm Breed Barrett. And the reason I'm interviewing Karen today is because I'm dying to hear this news that Karen posted on LinkedIn this week, the start of something big. So Karen, please share with us, take us out of our misery.
Well, the first thing I'm going to share is that Santa came early. So we are officially on air. But yeah, thanks, Breed. So I posted a link to an article I wrote on LinkedIn earlier this week on Tuesday, actually, Australia time. And I think it sort of broke LinkedIn from my perspective because it had over 4,000 views before the end of the day, which was really great. So it's really talking about a change in direction that I have already started to make, as a lot of people who know me will be aware of. But this had a serious shift this year, and we'll be going full blown at it in 2018. So this is a prime time for our conversation. I've always had most of my career has been embedded in the IT service management space, and I'll continue to have a foot in that. There's no way I'm walking away because I still have a passion. But over the years, I've become more involved with the people side of change and from an IT service management perspective, because I think traditionally IT has been pretty bad at managing the people side of change. So it's always been an interest. But as we've seen organizations starting to or having to look at how they can change faster and faster, I think that organisational change needs an absolute fresh look, if not an overhaul, because I think organisational change management as an approach is broken.
Okay, so what is actually broken? Are you talking about PCI, AIM, ProSci, and how are they broken?
Yeah, I actually think they are broken. You're absolutely right, Breed. That's what I'm talking about. So the traditional approaches to organisational change have been, determine what the change is, plan for it, manage it, and then reinforce it. Take breath, rinse and repeat. Today, and some people will have heard the term VUCA, VUCA, it's volatile, it's uncertain, it's complex, and it's ambiguous. So you can't plan for that sort of world that we live in now. Changes that we're making, we don't actually know what the outcome's going to be. So to go back to you mentioning ProSci and AIM and PCI, and there's lots of other methodologies there, and even William Bridges' approach to transitions are all based on Kurt Lewin's 1940s change model, which was unfreeze your current situation, transition to the new one, and then refreeze to embed it into the organization. But it's very difficult to manage a transition when you don't know what you're going to have to refreeze at the end of it, because it could be, you might plan for one thing, but due to internal and external environments that are changing with that sort of rapid, constant, complex changes hitting us, that end state will change. Invariably, it will change. So one of the things I've said in that article, and maybe the second one I followed up with, is change management as a phrase is an oxymoron. Now, you can't manage something when you don't know what it's going to look like. It's pretty intangible for many organizations now. And if it's not for some organizations today, it certainly will be in the not so distant future. So it's time to make a change now.
Okay, so what you're really talking about is that organizations are having to be agile. They're having to be more responsive, to be competitive. So what is it about the agile environment that doesn't respond well to unfreeze, transition, and refreeze?
The reason organizations are adopting agile, which is a mindset. It's a way of, a way of working. And there's the Agile Manifesto, which is sort of principles, if you like. And the Agile Manifesto and Agile itself was put together because project and program delivery were not meeting business needs. They were not meeting the needs of the stakeholders. And that's my take on it. And the Agile people might say that's not, but that's my understanding, because projects were, meticulously planned. The deliverables were decided on, possibly with the business, with the stakeholders, or you'd hope so. And then the project would embark on its 3, 6, 12 months, whatever span of time it would be. And, project managers would work diligently to deliver the outcomes that had been agreed. The issue was, by the time the project delivered, those outcomes were either no longer relevant to the organisation, or deliverables that the business needed had changed in some way. Might not have been a totally different change in direction, but subtle changes meant that what was delivered did not meet the needs of the business. So organisations now sort of moving from that, what was the waterfall approach to a more agile approach. And some organisations saying we're doing agile with a little a, because we're not quite sure what the big A looks like. But it's really about fast, incremental, iterative changes that we keep constant. It's constant feedback loop. So we keep checking in. Are we still delivering what the business needs? Are we still delivering what the business needs? No, well, this bit's changed, or we have a different priority. We need to do this before that. So that we know each time we deliver that we're meeting a business need. Now, there might be a big picture at the end of the day. So it might be, something we're aiming for from a sort of strategic perspective, but we're delivering it in bite-sized chunks so we can make alterations and changes in direction as we go. Now, if change management practitioners who are using frameworks based on unfreeze, transition, refreeze, can think they can match that to that sort of agile, nimble, fluid, fast environment, I think they've got another thing coming. I can't see how you can manage something when the outcomes are constantly changing. Your stakeholder groups will constantly change.
Right.
The thing that you're delivering, what are you communicating is going to be delivered, because you don't know for a long term, in terms of 2 or 4 week sprints. So change management has to now move at that cadence of an on and alongside an agile delivery.
Look, I hear what you're saying, and in my experience, change managers talk a lot about change resistance. Those words come up so many times. And what you're talking about now, because people are people, and you're saying, in this new volatile, uncertain environment, the change needs to be as agile as the organisation. So who takes care of the people who need to change?
Yeah, I still think it's absolutely the change practitioners. They have the expertise, and I'm not saying they're not relevant anymore. They absolutely are. And we need to take even more care of the people transitions, because as a person in an organization, I'm getting hit with change. And it was like, do this today. No, don't do that now, do this. And that's going to need a major mind shift for every member of the organization, wherever they sit. So the people side of change, absolutely. But I think where the major shift I think change practitioners like myself need to make is stop talking about change resistance and talk about change resilience. We need to make everyone in the organization resilient to be able to deal with constant change. We need the organization, every member of the organization, to understand the change is going to hit them on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And it might not be what they expected, because we can't predict it. We can't have a CXO stand up and saying, in 6 months' time, this is exactly what it's going to look like, because it won't. It'll change along the way. So that communication needs to be honed to be iterative as well. To say, there'll be an overall direction that people are heading in, but what it's actually going to really look like at the end of it, and how quickly we're going to get there and how we're going to get there, is going to vary. So I think there's a big job for change practitioners to get out there and get a sense of the organization. So there's tools that people can still use today that they can still use to take a pulse check of where people's mindsets are at. But it's really working with those people to start coaching them and training them, run workshops, to talk to them how they can, talk to them about what the world is going to really look like tomorrow, and that they're going to have to live with that. It's the new reality. None of us can stop it. Nobody in the organization is exempt. So we're not talking to them saying, you're going to get hit with change all the time, but this person over here who's a senior exec is not. They are. Because if they can't respond to it.
So then we have these change practitioners, and they're still highly relevant. And as you're saying, they're the people that need to help the people who are actually implementing changes. But what do organizations need to do to make their people able to do this, to change in an agile environment quickly and often?
Yeah, I think, as I say, we need to get that message across and introduce everybody to the world that's now the reality it is, and why it is. It's not because someone said we're going in direction X and now we've gone in Y, and everyone's going, well, they told us this last week and now we're doing something totally different and I don't understand it. So firstly, it's getting that common shared understanding across the organization that it is a volatile, complex, uncertain, ambiguous world. And if people aren't feeling that today, it's getting the message across that they're going to feel it pretty soon, and it's a good idea to be ready. So it's about giving them the tools and the support. So, if I am going through constant change and I'm struggling, where do I get the support to do that? We need to make sure that organizations start looking at killing the hierarchy. If you've got a hierarchical command and control, centralized decision making, you're a dinosaur, because you can't move quickly enough. You need to give the decision making to the people where the decision needs to be made quickly. Yeah? Not, Karen Ferris has had a bright idea because she'd seen something, she sensed something in the market, she talked to a customer or told her something, and we need to make a shift quickly to address that change, that external change. If I've got to go to my manager, to their manager for the decision to come back down, that could take weeks or months. I'm working in an organization where decisions just take forever because of a hierarchical structure. I should be given, and I'm not going to use the word empowered because you and I have had this conversation. I don't believe it's about saying I give you the power. You already should have it. So empowering someone is giving them, saying, for this, I allow you to do it. And I sanction you to do something. We need to change that language, that I am given the right to make that decision. If I see a shift in the marketplace, I can make the decision to do something about it. So I can initiate change and I can drive change. That to me is a truly nimble, flexible, fluid organization that can respond. So it's everybody's job to respond. It's not the C-suite sitting there. Yes, there's a strategic direction that needs to be set. And I know as an employee what that strategic direction is. And therefore the decision I make should be aligned with that direction. So if I do something, it's a bit like Google have that a principle, you do what's right for the organization. And as long as you stick by that principle, we should all be all right. And if we make a mistake, we learn from it. And we don't have a blame culture and point the finger. So give people what some organizations call guardrails, or principles. Do the right thing by yourself, do the right thing by our customers, do the right thing by the organization. It's as simple as that. You might want to add more, but really, if I can have a conversation with a number of members of the organization, say, why did you do that? It didn't work, but why? What were you thinking? As long as I can say I followed those 3 principles, then all well and good. So we need to give people that right, and the right to self-manage. Tell me what the outcome is and allow me to decide how I do it, when I do it, where I do it. Now, for a lot of organizations, what I'm talking about, decentralized decision making, self-management, employee autonomy. Everyone can initiate and drive change. I'm allowed to experiment. I can innovate. If the organization doesn't embrace everybody being allowed to have a go and innovate, it's not going to be changing quick enough. So one of the big things we're going to have to do is flatten that structure, kill the hierarchy, give people real autonomy. And I think the biggest change that we might want to talk about is what leaders need to do.
Well, look, I was actually coming to that, because what I was going to say to you is something that we often hear leaders say, and they say it like as if, they lord it over the people. Well, if you can't change the people, you need to change the people. But it seems to me that it's the people who say that need changing. What are your thoughts on that? Like, what kind of leadership are we looking for in these organizations?
Yeah, I think there's two things there. I do love that saying, if you can't change the people, change the people. But that's after you've explored every other avenue, as any leader or change practitioner should do. So there's still, there's still reasons to look at why the person doesn't feel they can change and where we can help. But we also, but if a leader has that approach as well, that tends to be used flippantly, and it's an excuse to get rid of people rather than properly leading people. And one of the biggest challenges I think a lot of organizations are going to have, especially where there's ones which are highly bureaucratic, is to get leaders to let go. Leaders to understand that by letting go of control, they're actually gaining control. And it's not going to be anarchy, and it's not going to be chaos. But there's a lot of, and I shouldn't really call them leaders, I should still call them managers, because if they truly lead, they're already doing this. And it's, giving the people the right to make decisions and giving them those principles and guidelines and being there to support them and coach them, not command them. One of the sayings I've put throughout some recent blogs, no one ever did anything great or awesome by being told to do it. So command and control has just got to go. It has no place, not even in the military now. It's not, hasn't been in the military for a long time. We think it has, but commanders give their troops the outcomes that want to be achieved, like take that field, whatever, take that hill. And it's the troops on the ground, as they find that the firepower coming at them has come from a different direction, don't just blindly still do what the commander said. They'll give feedback, but they'll have to make a decision on their feet. They don't wait to go back up the chain of command to come down again, because they'll probably be dead by then, or badly wounded or whatever. So we still should be given that decentralized decision making, given that the outcome we want to achieve is clear. But the people who know best are the people on the front line. I know how best to deal with an angry customer if I sit in a call center. I know best how to deal with a client if I'm working as a teller in a bank. I shouldn't be confined by 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. I mean, there's some jobs you have to be when you're on a time base, but there are so many managers who still manage people like that. They have to have line of sight that they're at the desks at 9 o'clock in the morning. They have lunch from 12 till 1, or the other half have lunch from 1 till 2, and they all go at 5 o'clock and no sooner unless they've been given special permission. We're treating staff like children. We need to treat them like adults. And I'm amazed how many organizations still have managers who treat their staff in that way. So managers need to be helped to become leaders, and lead their people, not manage them.
So if you can't change the manager, change the manager.
Correct. If you can't make the manager a leader, change the manager. That's right.
This has given me some great insights into where you're going with all this. And where can I get more of this? Because I want to keep learning and appraising myself of how we're going to change this how are we going to create this brave new world?
Well, you'll probably know before anyone else does, but yeah, so I've started, there's a new website, and for those who've watched Karen's conversations before, you can see it's been reverse. It's mirrored, so I can't do it. Karen's Conversations, the signature is now my logo, and I have a brand new shiny website, which I'm very pleased with, called karenferris.com. And on there is the blog that you referred to at the beginning, the start of something big. And then the second in the series, and the series is talking about all this, about killing the hierarchy, becoming an adaptive leader. That's the other thing I didn't mention, to being able to change your direction very quickly. So being adaptive and being able to read the signals that you're seeing and interpret them correctly. So I have a whole series of blogs and posts coming up as we move into 2018 that will, I think, I mean, there's other people are talking about this. I don't think it's not just me, but I'm not seeing much happen about it. And I think it's really sort of turning the world of organisational change management on its head. It needs a good shake-up, wake-up is another thing that I've been saying recently. So the second in the series is called Constant Changes are the New Black. And that's also on karenferris.com under the heading that says blogs. Go figure. Also, you can find them on LinkedIn. In regards to Macanta, I'm still a director as Macanta as you are, and I'll still be doing stuff in the service management world, as I said at the beginning. And of course, Macanta training is still going. So no changes for our existing customers or new service management customers, but the organisational change world is going to see a lot more of me in 2018, and I really want to shake the industry up, because it's going to have to be.
Well, it's very exciting times, Karen, and we should also mention that very soon on your events page we'll be announcing a seminar in Melbourne. So we'll send that out to our contact list, and we'll look forward to seeing your faces there and to hear Karen talk firsthand about this. So thank you very much, Karen, for filling me in on this. I'm going to let you do your usual sign-off now.
Thanks, Bree. Now, I'm not sure what this is going to come out like, but sometimes I can see you, and the other times they just can see like a silhouette, a black silhouette. So I don't know if it's the window behind you or what, but your dulcet tones came across loud and clear.
Oh, well,
so that's great.
To come with the view, you know. I have to view. You know, we like that.
We do. We like to look, you know, what the neighbours are getting up to. So that is Karen's Conversations. Thank you so much, Breed, for agreeing to do this. We had this sort of idea, sort of late-ish. I said, oh, why don't we talk about this? Let's reverse the situation, put Karen on the other side of the script this time, or the run sheet. So it's been a great pleasure. This will be the last Karen's Conversations for 2017. So to everyone who's watched or will be watching or listening, have a wonderful, festive and safe holiday season, and I look forward to speaking with you in 2018. Bye.